Okay, next we're going to go to the slicer by the name of date. Choose it. Options. Pivot table connections. The name of the slicer is date, and I want date to be able to influence these four pivot tables: age, customer, and date. Hit OK. Finally, the fifth and final slicer. Click on it. We're in Options, Pivot Table Connections. The name of the slicer is age, right here. And I want it to be able to change the following four pivot tables: age, customer, date, and region. And once again, it's tedious, but it's going to save us a lot of time. That is, in fact, the reason why we named all of our pivot tables. It makes it a lot easier to do. By making those changes, what I can do now is I'm still on that region sheet dealing with the region pivot table, but I'm going to just select the Midwest area. Click on it. The total is 1651. But now, if I go to customer, I also see, by choosing that region, this is the effect upon my customers. By date, the effect upon the sales by date, and even by age. I can come back to region, where all my slices are contained, and I could come in here and choose not only the Midwest, but let's also choose the West. Hold down the Control key, click on West. So I'm showing now Midwest and West. My graph is also showing Midwest and West. The total is 3221. If I click on my customer sheet, same number, based upon those regions that I just selected. Date, same way, and also age. Let's come back to that region pivot table, and I can go in here and click on Amazon. What we're showing here, Midwest, West area, that's what was chosen. And I've also chosen Amazon customer. So I click in here. All it's showing is just Amazon. You can see that it is also impacted by year and also by age. Let's come back to that region sheet. The region sheet is the one that has all of our slices. You can see where we've done filtering. See, there's by the shading, and also the fact that you have now the little red showing next to the Y. I could go in here and choose the year 2005 and just the first quarter. So what we've done here, Midwest and West area for Amazon, and let's also show Google. See, everything has changed here. Amazon and Google for the year 2005 for the dates, or the months rather, January, February, and March, which is really the first quarter. Grand total is 187. Let's go to customer. You can see Amazon and Google has been chosen. Our total is 187. And And when we click on date, our total is still 187, and it's only showing the year 2005. Once again, our slices are now impacting multiple pivot tables. We have our 5 slices. They're impacting all of our pivot tables. And it's very easy just to remove those slices by or the filtering, by clicking over here. In actuality, many times what you would do is have your chart showing on a separate sheet. It's tied in with this information, but it would be on a separate sheet, and then you would have your slices all up in this area right here. And in fact, you would have a kind of a dashboard. In many cases, you would also have your pivot tables all on this one sheet, which is easy to do as long as you've sized them properly. Once again, it's so important to name your pivot tables, which we did for each one of them. Create your slices, and then for each individual slicer, go in for each one of them, click on Options, Pivot Table Connections, and make sure that you have a check mark next to those pivot tables that you want to influence. Okay, next we're going to look at this idea of a calculated field within a pivot table. Once again, a calculated field. It's a field that doesn't exist right now within our list of fields. So, in order to do that, let's copy this original pivot table called region. Highlight it, right click, copy it. We're going to go to a blank sheet and paste it. Widen our columns, and we're going to rename this sheet Calculated Field. Let's rename the pivot table itself to Calculated Field. So we have our sheet called Calculated Field. Once again, I want to rename the actual pivot table to Calculated Field. So I'm within the pivot table, Options, over here, we're going to type in Calculated Field. Now, here's our problem. We've grouped our table by region, and we've summed the sales. But if I want to determine the margin, and I'm defining the margin as the value of sales minus cost of goods sales. Okay, that's what my margin would be. So to kind of show you, let's drag down cost of goods sales. We want to go in here and reformat it. Right click. Number formatting. Currency. Click. Let's change this to CGS space cost of goods sales. Okay, so we have our cost of goods sales. We have our sales, cost of goods sales. We have summations in all cases. Now, I want to determine the margin, what the margin is here. How I would go about doing that is, once again, we don't have a field by the name of margin. We need to create that field. We have a field called sales and cost of goods sales, but the margin doesn't exist, and what we're going to do is we're going to create that name and then create a formula that would in fact determine that margin. So we're within our pivot table. Click on Options. Come over here to Field Items and Sets. Hit the down arrow. And next we want to choose Calculated Field. Click on it. The name of that calculated field is going to be margin. We're going to call it margin. The formula, equal sign, we have a 0 placeholder. I'm going to remove that. And the formula would basically be the sales field minus cost of goods sales. So I could either double click it or highlight it, insert field. So we have a name of a field called margin. The formula to determine that is equal the sales field right here minus the cost of goods sales. Click OK. Let's go up into the cell here. We're going to edit the name. We're going to call it margin space. And we're going to do one other calculation here. And this final calculation is going to be the margins for each of the sales area. We're going to make a calculation here. So the margins for each of the sales area as a percentage of the grand total of all the margins. So the grand total is 3782. So for instance, for this one right here, for Midwest, it would be 586,863 divided by the grand total of 3782. Now how we do that, or how we accomplish that, is by taking the margins field and we're going to drag it down right here. See, both of them are summing the margins. Same grand total. How we get a percentage of the grand total is by clicking within here, right click, come down here to show values as. Right now it's no calculation, but we want to go to show values as a percentage of the grand total. Click here and we have that determination. Margin as a percentage of total. Thank you.